Welcome back, fourth graders, from your weekend. You can see that Honey Rose has kind of left a mess here from last Friday. She was busy, that's for sure, and you can see kind of things are all over, but we'll try to pick up where we left off. The page we had on Friday for the assignment was the bottom of this page here. We talked about how Lou and Roberto were different. And that word for being different is we're contrasting them. To contrast between two different things, in this case, two different people, is to tell how they're different. So we found out so far all these things are things that are different about them. But there also was some that you had to find at the bottom. So hopefully you found numbers 1, numbers 4, and numbers 6 were things that are different. They were the contrasting sentences. So hopefully you got those ones right. You can see they're in green. Honey Rose highlighted them here in green. The first one said Roberto played for the Pittsburgh Pirates and Lou Gehrig played for the Yankees. Well, that's how they're different. That's one of them. Also number 4, Roberto wore number 21 in his jersey and Lou was number 4 for the Yankees. That's also how they're different. And finally, number 6, Lou played in the 1920s and Roberto played in the 1970s. Again, that's how they're different. So those are the 3 sentences that showed the contrast between them. Which means that numbers 2, numbers 3, numbers 5, and number 7 were things that were the same. Things that were true for both of them. And that's what we're going to kind of focus on today. Wait a minute. Why do I get the feeling that Micah's working on what she's supposed to be doing and you're working on something else, Honey Rose? You're supposed to be doing your homework. What is all this in front of you? You got things on here about baseball and baseball cards and snacks. Honey Rose, you're supposed to be working on your reading. Let's get back to business. Just like Micah's doing. You see, Micah's working like a good girl. What are you doing, girl? You're supposed to be working on your reading lesson, and Lou Gehrig and Roberto. Popcorn, almonds. Oh my goodness. I know the World Series is going on, but come on, Honey Rose. So, looking at Honey Rose's notes again, here's some of those words that are used when you're comparing things. Remember, compare is to tell how things are alike, how they're the same. So that's what we're going to focus on today, is how they're the same. And we're going to look for some of these what's called signal words. You can see that Honey Rose put 6 of them in here. Things like the word both, the word alike, the word same, also, similar, as well as. Those are signal words that help us understand how things are the same. There's also signal words that are used when we contrast. And that's what we did last week. We did some things that are different about them. And Honey Rose put 6 words there too. Things like different and however, but and although, while, and in some. If you see here in the newspaper article that is being shown in the drawing, the article's titled Gehrig Slumps. So on this page here, let me read a little bit about it. Then during the 1938 baseball season, and for no apparent reason, Lou Gehrig stopped hitting. One newspaper reported that Lou was swinging as hard as he could, but when he hit the ball, it didn't go anywhere. Lou exercised. He took extra batting practice. He even tried changing the way that he stood and held his bat. He worked hard during the winter of 1938 and watched his diet. But the following spring, Lou's playing was worse. Time after time, he swung at the ball and missed. He had trouble fielding and even had problems off the field. In the clubhouse, for example, he fell down while he was getting dressed. Some people said that Yankee manager Joe McCarthy should take Lou out of the lineup. but McCarthy refused. He had great respect for Lou and said, "Gehring plays as long as he wants to play." But Lou wasn't selfish, so on May 2nd, 1939, he told Joe McCarthy, "I'm benching myself for the good of the team." Now remember, Lou had that record of playing in 2,130 baseball games in a row. Remember they called him the Iron Horse? He played no matter what. But for him to take himself out of the game and tell his manager that I'm benching myself for the good of the team, he must have really felt bad. There was something definitely wrong, and Lou knew it. So tomorrow we'll finish up how these two biographies end, and we'll find out how Roberto Clemente also had kind of a tragic end to his story. Lou, as you know, was getting worse and worse. His health was failing. The question is why and what was happening to him. And for Roberto, it was more of an accident. And so we'll find out about that tomorrow. Today, then, you're going to look for some comparing sentences. You'll use a highlighter again, trying to find more sentences that tell about how these two players, these two biographies, compare and are the same. What's true about both of them, where they're alike, how they're the same, how also they have these things in common and are similar, as well as what the two of them share. All right, good luck, and we will see you again tomorrow.